Hi, and welcome to our next session at the WeFood Future. We will now discuss hashtag food innovation. Again, we are running two minutes late, but we just want to make sure that everybody had the chance to join. I'm again looking forward to two fantastic external speakers and one host from Boden Spies. My name is Ralf Leister, and I will guide you through this session as a moderator. And having said that, I think we can directly kick it off. Food innovation is a topic that is so broad I couldn't have even imagined. This morning, because I'm at the Boden Spies office, I had the chance to view a small food lab, which looked very interesting. Kai had a different outfit back then, but nevertheless, I think you can give us some insights into that. And maybe one or two rules. It would be very helpful for all the guests, for the audience, if you can turn off your microphone and your video, because this ensures a stable internet connection for us and makes it easier to listen to our experts. And of course, feel free to use the chat function. We are very happy to answer your questions. The session is structured in a way that the two external experts will give a brief input on food innovation, and afterwards we will have time to discuss your questions. So do not hesitate. There are no stupid questions. Just post everything which you are interested in into the chat function. Having said that, a brief introduction of our speakers. We will, in a few seconds, start with Horsky, who is Director of Innovations and Ventures at Snack Futures at Mondelēz International. Beyond that, we have Courtney Hendricks, who we cannot see right now. Maybe we will have the chance to see you later, but the most important thing is that we can listen to you, and this works. She's Director of Innovation at Ocean Spray International. And last but not least, we have our internal BBS host, which is Kai Schumacher, who is a Director for Portfolio Management and Innovation at Boden Spies. And Kai, before we start the session, what are your expectations for the next 30 to 40 minutes?
Yes, I thought about that. And as you said, innovation is always one of the most interesting parts of the conventions. So therefore, my personal expectation is, I've noticed that the innovation processes have changed dramatically in the companies, where basically in reinventing products and also looking into the customer's view was the most important ones, or the most important topics in the past. I think nowadays speed is the new currency of innovation, and I'm very keen on learn something more insights on this topic from Courtney and Gil. So therefore, welcome Courtney and Gil to this session. I'm very honored and pleased in the same way to have these two professionals, one from Ocean Spray on one side and Mondelēz on the other side. So as I can imagine, the agility of startups is shaking tremendously the big corporates. So therefore, I'm very interested of what Gil and Courtney are saying about this topic. I would suggest to start with Gil, since he has the screen on as well. Perhaps Courtney can fix her technical issues. If not, she has a nice voice as far as I know.
Yeah.
So, Gil, if you don't mind to share your screen so that we all can look at it.
Sure.
Perfect. The stage is yours, Gil. I saw you nodding when Kai had his introduction, so I'm really looking forward to your input. Have fun.
Great. Can you guys see my deck? Does it work?
Yes. Disrupting the big food innovation model.
Fantastic. Great. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for inviting me today to this great event, and I've been following what you guys are doing, and it sounds like very inspiring the next 2 days, and both myself, Courtney, and Kai are excited to talk in the next half an hour about innovation. What I wanted to talk today about is kind of just a short overview of how I believe we are trying in Mondelēz, and specifically in the team I work in, which is called Snack Futures, which I'll describe more in a second, are trying to disrupt the big food innovation model. And you know, I'm very open for feedback. We're big believers of learning, and we have not cracked the code yet. Some things are working, some not. That's how innovation and new approaches work. So if any of you have feedback later on, questions, anything you want to reach out to, part of being an innovator is being approachable and talking and learning from others and sharing if you could. So this is my email below, also on the end of the deck, and I'm more than happy to discuss. Either you write me directly or by LinkedIn, I'm very happy to communicate. Just one word about Mondelēz, because sometimes people tell me, I don't know Mondelēz. Who is Mondelēz? And there's probably a reason why some of you don't know Mondelēz, because you all know and eat our brands, and we focus on building the brands that we have. We're the biggest chocolate and biscuits company in the world, with brands such as Milka, Cadbury, Oreo, and the biggest candy company, the second biggest gum candy company in the world. We have 80,000 employees. It's a US-based company, the headquarters, but we obviously operate and sell and have offices in 150 countries, including, of course, in Europe, which is actually, by the way, the biggest region we have. And we're around a $26 billion net revenue company, so a large corporation. But as we talk about innovation, you know, one of the things I wanted to bring up is, you know, we all talk about innovation, and there's so many great new approaches and consultants, and we all get trained in innovation. But the amazing thing is that probably all of us, or most of us, and most of you on the line, are actually using the same innovation approach that was actually invented 34 years ago, which is not that innovative, and it's called the stage gate. I'm sure many of you are nodding in the head, because pretty much every company in the food industry uses still today the stage gate, which was invented by Professor Robert Cooper, a Canadian professor, in 1986. I'm highlighting on purpose the year because it's a long time ago. And the stage gate is built really on one premise. You have stages that are all intended to enable the company to let an innovation project progress to the next stage by mitigating risks. So every stage, a project needs to prove that they have made some progress, they have reduced the amount of risk for the company, and then senior management gives thumbs up, gives you more money to the next stage. But in every stage, you can die. So that's the approach we've all been using. And the other approach that many of us have been using is a lot of brainstorming. And, you know, I love this cartoonist, Tom Fishburne, that kind of, I think, shows what we all have done in our careers, which we all sit in a room, we come up with 100 ideas we fall in love with. And at the end, we say, now let's pick the innovative idea with the greatest potential to keep things exactly as they are. Which means a lot of us don't really want to change. You know, we don't really want to push the status quo. It's quite easy to just come up with something that keeps the world as it is. Now, all of this was also true for us in Mondelēz. I mean, we are not different than everybody. And I think we came 2-3 years ago and we said, listen, the world is changing. Innovation is much faster. We have a lot of small brands. People call them challenger brands, that in all the different categories, including in our snacking categories, that are growing really fast. They're really innovating nicely. And how do we tap into that? And of course, you know, we have different ways. We have an M&A team that enables us to buy some of these companies. But we said, listen, is there a way that we can actually ourselves tap into these spaces? Some of them are spaces that are not ready yet to be bought. And then we said, yes. And we did that by creating Snack Futures, which is an independent innovation and venture hub. It's playing in the spaces of snacking, mainly well-being, premium, and digital platforms. And we have two arms. We have an invent arm, which is really about us creating our own separate businesses. We create the same like a challenger brand. We behave like an entrepreneur. We work with external resources. We move very fast, sometimes from 6 months from the first meeting in a room till being on shelf in a few stores, and I'll talk about that more. And we go into spaces that we believe are high growth opportunity. We call it the game board, which I'll explain you in a second. Another approach is sometimes we see spaces that we believe in, that we say, you know what, there's a small brand already doing a really good job here. We don't need to invest a brand. We don't need to build a brand here. We can just invest in them. And that's what we do on the venture arm. You know, for example, Uplift Foods is a brand we invested in that is all about taking the gut health and the gut benefits into snacking. So instead of inventing a brand there, we just said, you know what, let's go ahead and invest in one. Now, what are the spaces we work against? So I mentioned before the game board. The game board is really kind of what are the spaces we're focusing on. And, you know, our clear mantra of the team is, because we're a snacking company, you know, we're focused on snacks that are good for people and kind to the planet and deliciously fun. And we have actually 10 spaces, and I'm only showing today 5. These are the 5 priority ones that we have launched things against. And all of them are grounded in a lot of analytical assessment of high growth opportunities. So one of them is, sorry, there's background noise. One of them is next generation fruit and vegetables. We're big believers, and I know it's relevant for many on the line, that actually, especially vegetables, are very hard to deliver them in a healthy, tasty form in snacks. Another one is no guts, no glory, which is around the whole gut health area that I talked about. A third one is about heroic school snacks, which is around actually creating lunch boxes and snacks for kids for school that are healthy. Ready to eat care is an amazing space of food as medicine, of snacks that are actually good for your mind and body. And the last one, which we all talk a lot about, is planet first snacks, which is really about snacks that are good for the planet. Now, what is our approach? You know, our approach, we have 3 things that really guide us in how we work and how our team works differently than the rest of the organization, although the rest of the organization is trying to shift the same way. One, we're very agile, fast, and experimental. So we really believe in moving very quickly, experimenting, and actually we are much more focused on progress over perfection. And you know, one of the big things when you work in a big CPG or marketing-driven company is, you know, there's a lot of focus on perfection. Really getting the innovation 100% right, getting the concept 100% right, the packaging and testing and testing and testing. Many times when you do that, by the time you have launched, the market has moved on. And the third thing is we're very curious and collaborative. We actually work almost entirely with the outside world. So our team is very small. It's a team of 10 people in the entire 80,000 employees of the company. But we're 10 people that are actually working with hundreds of others because we collaborate. We work with external partners, external co-packers, external distributors, external culinary experts, external market research and experts, etc. And then the last thing is about our team. And I don't know, I mean, I know all of you are on mute, but I hope there are people that are, you know, that have known the A-Team. It was a TV show in the 80s of 4 or 5 people. I, as a kid, used to love that team because each of the A-Team members had a different personality and a different role, and they really worked well together. And although they were very different personalities, you know, you need a really A-team to do what we're trying to do and in such a big company. And part of the characteristic we look in our team for is we are looking for people that can become intrapreneurs, not intrapreneurs, intrapreneurs. And intrapreneur is actually a very interesting capability. It's somebody that works within a large organization that still has the entrepreneurial skills, but actually also the managerial skills to take risks and solve problems. And it's actually knowing how to be like an entrepreneur, but within the remit of a large company, and sometimes to know how to manage politics, stakeholders, getting the right funding, keeping the company patient, because a lot of these things take time. And that's a very unique skill set. Now, what do we do really? We, as I mentioned, we develop very quickly. We venture build in territories and the game board that we believe there is a great opportunity. We go ahead and basically develop a business quite quickly. And instead of doing a lot of market research on computers or in research facilities, we are doing something we call transactional learning. We go in real life testing. We go to where consumers are, and you can see some pictures. These are myself and at least 2 of them at the bottom. I'm standing here in grocery stores in New York and LA in the US, and I'm basically showing a new brand that we are actually didn't launch even yet, and we're showing a price tag, and we're asking consumers, do you want to taste? Do you want to buy? And consumers really give us feedback. Is that something I would buy or not, and how much they would pay? And based on that, we really do very quickly refinements and decide if to kill an idea or to progress it. The second thing is we do a lot of online testing, A/B testing. We also do what we call Instu, digital diaries. We send the product to 10 consumers that are our target. We let them live with the product as part of their lives for a week. We send them questions and we communicate with them every day by WhatsApp. They send us videos and we really see how they interact with the product, how it fits their lives, how not, what can get optimized. They don't get any information about it beyond the product. And at the bottom, you can see this was a new space we worked on that we actually do A/B testing. We put ads on Facebook, on Instagram of different propositions, and we see what gets more engagement, click-through rate. And based on that, we can very quickly prioritize ideas. In addition to the invent part, of us venture building, as I mentioned before, many times we find an opportunity space such as gut health or clean label snacking that we say, you know what, there's actually a great brand out there that are already doing it, and let's support them, let's invest in them, and let's help them grow. And that's what we've done with Uplift Foods. We've done it with You Kitchen. It's a very successful brand in the US. We've just done also recently a food tech investment. It's not public yet, so hopefully when next time we talk, we can share that. And for us, the investment is just the beginning. We help the company grow. We bring it into our ecosystem. We give them a lot of capabilities that we have in-house, such as R&D, operations, procurement, but the company is independent, of course. We are just a shareholder. They're founders, and our role is to help the founders grow their business. So that's it in a nutshell on what we do. I know our time is short, but we still have some time for Q&A after that. So, you know, I'll be more than happy to, of course, get all your questions. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, Gil. That was very insightful and very interesting. I'm astonished. I haven't heard the word intrapreneur. It's a very good description of the people want you to be in a big company. So, and only few people are like that. Very interesting. But I would like to hand over to Courtney, because I would like to have the questions afterwards, so that we can perhaps we have questions that both can answer. And I see now Courtney is on the screen as well. So thank you for that. And you want me to share the screen, is that correct?
I'm going to share mine, but Kai, if there's any hiccup, please jump in. So let me do that.
And I will.
Okay, I will.
Maybe one comment from my side, again, to the audience. I see that you really liked the presentation from Gil. I totally agree with you. Please feel free to post your questions for Gil and Courtney in the chat, and I will make sure they will be answered afterwards. So please do not hesitate. Don't be shy. And having said that, Courtney, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you, Kai and everyone, can you see my slide?
Okay. Well.
Yeah,
awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I apologize, everybody. Technical difficulties as always. So thank you so much, Kai and Gil. Thank you for kicking us off. Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney Hendrickson, Innovation Director at Ocean Spray. I am so thrilled to be here talking with all of you. My time is short, so please also, as Gil mentioned, please do bring your questions to the Q&A, and I've shared my email here, and I will at the end. Please do reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to connect with you and talk more about Ocean Spray. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So let's jump right in. So it's a brand new day at Ocean Spray. Maybe many of you are familiar with Ocean Spray. We are 90 years young this year, 2020. 90 years as an agricultural co-op, but you know, we're not content with where we've been and what we've done. We're really energized and really wanting to push getting out of our comfort zone to modernize our business and our brand. And we know that innovation and revitalizing the business is key to growing and to bringing another 90 years of legacy to our farmers. So today I wanted to talk to you about our journey as a transformation, because we really are at an inflection point at Ocean Spray. And we've just begun this journey of transformation last year, 2019. We're very excited about the future. So when we look ahead, how do we transform a business that's been 90 years young as an agricultural co-op? So there's three main pillars we really are focusing on. First is our purpose, which is farm to family, which I'll talk about in a minute. Second, of course, is always keeping our consumer or our user at the center of everything we do. And that's critical, and that is part of what we focus on with innovation, which I'll talk about. And lastly, but not least, rethink innovation. So how do we reframe and reapproach innovation to keep up with our user and keep up with the world around us that's changing so quickly? But before I go into that, I wanted to just pause and share our purpose, because at Ocean Spray, being an agricultural co-op, our purpose is really at the foundation of everything we do, whether it's innovation or it's operations or it's sales or it is finance. This is the foundation of our business. So our purpose is connecting farms and families for a better life. And we're committed to delivering on this purpose bringing our farmers and growing their businesses for their health, but also bringing health and wellness to the world. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today. So let's get into innovation and how are we rethinking innovation at Ocean Spray? As I mentioned, we really started a journey about a year ago, really more like almost 18 months ago. And it's just been a really exciting time. Innovation is a key strategic pillar for our growth. It's a priority in our business, and it's really essential to continue to challenge how we look through innovation as a lens. So for today, I'm really going to share with you a pretty simple way of how we look at rethinking innovation. It's all about the what and then the how. So let me walk through with you these two areas. So the what is all about the strategy, right? It's all about how do we get to our current categories that many of you probably are familiar with, juice, snacking, but modernize. Bring new benefits, reach new consumers, update the category, drive it leadership. And that's something we're committed to. Secondly, disrupting new categories. And maybe many of you are familiar with our Lighthouse Incubator, which we founded just over a year ago with the purpose of accelerating health and wellness products. So this is all about disrupting new categories. For example, pet healthcare. We launched a brand called Tally Ho, which is a functional beverage water enhancer for dogs, for example. And we also launched a CBD beverage under our Carry On brand to really deliver a natural way to calm down in the mental wellness space. And underpinning all of this is bringing innovation through sustainability to the forefront. So innovating beyond the product, committing to sustainability across everything we do. Most recently, we announced our partnership with TerraCycle and Loop, which we're really excited about as a way to both help drive more innovative, sustainable packaging in the world and plastics. We have craisins and we have juice, all using plastic materials. But not only that, but again, with the user, making it simpler and easier, more convenient for the user to recycle these goods. So we're really excited about the future with TerraCycle and Loop. And we're just kicking that off in the past month. So that's the what. How about the how? So the how is all about, and you heard Gil talk about it, it's all about the agility and the design thinking. How do we accelerate? How do we pivot and react quickly across all of our strategies, right? So the design thinking agility, it's really about the people and the culture. It's about both bringing the sprint methodology of concept to final product in a short period of time, but also changing our structure and our culture so that people can collaborate successfully, break out of silos, share ideas, which will allow us to get to quicker decisions, to be more on top of the user and the consumer and the trends around the world. So that's the what and the how. So jumping into a different topic, but one that's on everyone's mind is COVID-19 and, the new normal, as they say, that we're facing today around the world. But at Ocean Spray, we've talked a lot about the idea of new normal. And as we reflect on our mission and our vision, we weren't satisfied with the old normal. We weren't happy with there being an inequality with health and wellness around the world, or not being accessible with certain foods and functional to other people all over. So we really don't look at this as a new normal. We take it as an opportunity to really look at it as a new paradigm. So facing a new paradigm and how can we make a difference in the world at Ocean Spray? So I'll pause here just for a moment so you guys can all take a look at this image, because I think it's both powerful and it's one we're actually all probably familiar with right now, with people in masks, lined up, spaced out, not making eye contact. This is the world we are today in pandemic times, right? So, we look to this a lot and think about behaviors of our user and our consumer, and how in the past it's been so difficult to, we are innovating and creating based on consumer behavior that's inherent in the consumer. Well, today everything's changed. It's almost impossible to change consumer behavior until everything changes around them. And that's what's happened to all of us, really, in a matter of basically one night, a very, very short period of time. Everything's been changed. Our preferences have changed, where we shop has changed, how we work, what we eat, what we buy for our families, everything has changed. So at Ocean Spray, how are we looking at this, and what are we doing differently, or what are we focusing on to make sure we're staying locked in with the changes around the world? So firstly, we're continuing to be nimble. We know we have to be nimble and agile to survive. And COVID has brought this to the forefront today. You know, just this morning, trying to get myself into this conference, you know, we are all being challenged on how we can think quick and react and continually be agile and adjust to different environments. So continue to be nimble. Looking to accelerate some of these new channels, which overnight have become so critical. So e-com, digital, D2C. A great example is our Toka Wellness brand, which launched a D2C site in May, something that was always planned, but was accelerated from April to May, ramped up really quickly in reaction to COVID and all the online shopping. So we will continue to prioritize these new channels in our other brands. So look for that in the future. But really, most importantly, is health is for everyone. And that's critical. And going back to my comment earlier, we weren't satisfied with the status quo of wellness and nourishment not being accessible to a lot of people around the world. We see it as our mission to change that. We believe food is medicine. So we have a couple of products I'm showing here as examples of ones were recently launched around this idea, and we have a lot more to come. So let me just quickly talk about these. So cranberry seeds, in the Ocean Spray Professional team that I'm a part of, we're launching cranberry seeds, and I think if you tune in tomorrow, you'll hear more about that from some panelists from BBS. But the cranberry seeds are delivering natural fiber, heart health, and powerful antioxidants from a natural seed that is just collected and dried down. I'm very excited and proud to bring that to market. Talking back about the Lighthouse, we have 2 new brands playing in this space. Carry On with a CBD beverage, all about delivering mental wellness with a natural spin. And then Pet Health and Wellness, so a functional beverage for dogs under the Tally Ho brand. And we have a lot more plans down the road, so stay tuned to our social media sites, stay tuned to our website, to our partners like BBS to hear more about them. But we're really committed to this mission. We see it as our place in the world to make sure this comes to life. And, you know, I just want to end with, you know, all of you, we need your help. You are leaders in the food industry. Gil, also at Mondelēz, our other peers, we need you. We can't do this alone. We look forward to helping to drive and inspire in the food industry, how we can change this and how we can bring more nourishment to the world through functional health and wellness. So that's all I have today. Thank you so much. And thank you for being patient with me with my camera. And I'll turn it back to you, Kai.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you very much. Ralph, do we still have some time for the questions?
Yeah, I would say, but nevertheless, Gil and Courtney, so if you still have time, which would be great, let's try to do a short question, short answer round, because we have so many questions from the audience. And Kai, I think we have some questions as well, right?
Yes, it's amazing. I had a hard time to write everything down that people asked for. So that's why I quickly ask one question after the other. So I skip my questions. The other ones are most important anyway. So perfect. First question to Gil. Where are you based? Where's your group based?
So we actually pre-COVID already believed in not necessarily needing to be tied to an office. Our team was put from existing Mondelēz employees, but irrespective of where they're located. So we don't have one office. There are 10 people that are spread in 5 different locations. We have 2 in Chicago, which is our main office, 4 in New Jersey, or 3 in New Jersey, 2 in Zurich, 1 in the UK, and I'm in Tel Aviv. So We've done that before COVID. I feel like we were a bit ahead of our time by a few months.
I guess that's quite rare for a startup
Yes,
type of thing.
that's true.
Perfect, thanks. There was a question about sustainable packaging in this regard also in your innovation line, and also for Mondelēz in general, sure.
Yeah, so sustainability is a huge topic. We can talk about it for several hours. Mondelēz as a company has made very big public commitments. You can all find them online that will transition our entire packaging in the company to be recyclable. And specifically in Snack Futures, we actually put even a higher focus on that. So we have most of our packages are recyclable, some are even biodegradable, and we're exploring quite a lot of different new technologies in that space.
Perfect, thanks. A question to Courtney. How do you manage the portfolio to avoid cannibalization for your other products? I mean, apart from pet food or pet additional ingredients for pet food.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for that question. Yeah, so we are always striving to make sure we're being incremental to the business we have today. And part of that is really understanding where we're playing, what categories, what are the new categories and opportunities, and within those opportunities and those white space opportunities, how can Ocean Spray, contribute and deliver health and wellness in those spaces? So that's a lens that we're always looking at to ensure we understand in our current business what consumer needs, day parts we're serving, and then how can we deliver things that are new and different that have other needs in other categories for the consumer or the user.
Thanks, Courtney. Ralph, please interrupt me. I have another question for both of you. How do food bloggers get into your food innovation process? Is there any relation in this regard? I mean, Gil had a slight impact on that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when we launch our new brands, the ones that we kind of venture build, we behave like an entrepreneur. So meaning we'll have a very limited budget. We don't put the big Mondelēz power. We'll have the same budget as a starting entrepreneur. And actually one of the biggest ways and where we so-called invest the most is obviously digital, where you can get the best ROI and you can really get some very good ways to measure. And specifically with influencers, we do a lot. We have a brand called Cacao that we have launched together with Barry Callebaut that is using the whole cacao fruit. And we actually did an event, we launched it in LA, and we did an event in LA, very small, just for food bloggers and influencers that live in LA. So definitely will be part of what we do.
How about Ocean Spray?
Yeah, yep. Similar to what Gil said, our Lighthouse brand, we have a similar approach using social media, using influencers and brand ambassadors, and we'll continue to use this approach, as ways to, again, it's all about the consumer. So if we know our consumers are in this target, that social media and Instagram and are the first places they are looking to for information on products, and that's where we're, ensuring that we are talking to them. And with all of our different innovation, the same approach. Where are the consumer and users? How are we talking to them, and how can we reach them, throughout the day to get those messages out to them? So,
Courtney, last question to you, and also to Gil. How do you measure your success for innovation, and how much time do you give yourself for the launch of an innovation?
For us on the Snack Future side, which is different for the rest of the Mondelēz, in Snack Futures, as I mentioned before, we have a very clear approach. We launch in something we call transactional learning. We launch in one city, usually 10 to 15 stores, or online, depends on the fit of the brand or COVID situation. And we usually launch, our time period, usually 3 months. We launch for 3 months, and we have a very clear set of KPIs that we do in advance around engagement. One of the key ones is around velocities. And once we are finished with the 3 months, we decide one of three things. Whether if the idea didn't work or meet our KPIs, we kill it, and that's a great decision to do. It's much better to kill something earlier than later. A second is when we need to pivot and do some refinements and improvements before we further scale up. And the third one, if it's a home run, we just quickly scale it up. And then we still move to the next phase, which is still not the Mondelēz way. We would move to somewhere between 100 to 500 stores, and we call it incubation, and we'll do that for anywhere between 6 months to a year. And only after that we meet the KPIs of that phase, we'll move to a full scalable launch. So I would say we have 2 periods of that we assess the innovation.
And then you think about transferring into the Mondelēz?
Correct. If it met the transactional learning in incubation, that's where till that phase, we would manage it. If it met all the guidelines, then we would bring it to the Mondelēz machine, so-called.
Wow.
Yeah.
Courtney, how does that work at Ocean Spray?
Sure. So to answer the question on how long does it take to get product to market, we have a few different pillars of innovation, and all of them have different objectives in terms of speed to market. We have Lighthouse, which is the fastest, and 2 or 3 others, different cadence. But across the board, I think we're always aiming to get product out in 6 to 12 months, depending on the brand, the pillar, and the objective of the product and the channel. So certainly trying to accelerate as much as possible. Just like Gil mentioned with COVID, that has become challenging, but that's always the goal. In terms of measuring success, again, with our different innovation pillars, Lighthouse has a different innovation objective and KPI than Ocean Spray Professional versus Core. So making sure we understand the key strategy for all and what they're ultimately delivering to our farmers, which is, the base of our business, and why we do what we do is for them. So each team has strategies and KPIs that ladder back to that, as well as measuring with the consumer. Are we hitting on our positioning? Are we delivering the benefits of health and wellness that are truly unique, that we think we are? And, Gil mentioned the idea of test, iterate, test and learn, iterate. So this idea of quick iteration, feedback, and reaction is key in all of our innovation pillars, not just the Lighthouse, but across all of them. And that's really speaking to the agility I talked about earlier. So hopefully that answers your question, Kai.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Ralph, what do you think? I think for next time we should extend the innovation part in in the WeFood Future to 3 quarters like this. We can at least answer all the questions that are coming up in the chat. Yeah. Thanks, Courtney and Gil. Impressed and amazed at the same time by your introduction or your insights into your company, and also how into your approach to innovation. Thank you very much.
And one comment from my side, Gil and Courtney, thanks of course from my side as well. But if you want to see or feel some of the appreciation, just take a look in the chat afterwards. The audience really liked the way you presented. I think it was very, very interesting. There's one closing question from my side when we have a look at certain food or snack or drink categories, which is from Patricia, who's asking, do you see any of the traditional snack or drink categories that are declining now in the new normal? So any special categories who have a not so bright future in your opinion?
It's a good question. I think, and I'd love to hear also what Courtney thinks, but the new reality is changing also the whole time. So actually, it's interesting, when we saw COVID starting, I'll just give an example, everything that is out of home, food, everything in food service, right? Or impulse, we have impulse products. They all got hurt significantly just because people are not buying impulse shops, or they're not buying in food service. While on the other hand, everything that related to home cooking went up. But I think, so we're seeing a lot of things changing. But that being said, I think we are looking at a lot of data, and we also see things we are tracking by week, and we're seeing suddenly 1 month of something really peaking and suddenly going down. So a lot depends on what's happening with COVID in your specific area. Is there lockdown? Is there no lockdown? So these things are constantly changing. So I would not make far-reaching conclusions at the moment. That's my opinion.
Yeah, so we basically have to be careful and look at the KPIs, because a winning or losing category can be different tomorrow than it is today.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Courtney, anything to add on this one?
Yeah, no, I agree with Gil in terms of especially the channel, the focus, and how that quickly that shifted. I'll just add that I think, you know, when we think about health and wellness at Ocean Spray and how those preferences have changed with COVID, you know, we are staying on top of that and seeing how the idea of immunity or immunity for your whole family and health and wellness for your whole family proactively. So this idea of food as medicine, you know, how can the consumer, how can we around the world proactively protect ourselves from everything? And so that idea of the proactive wellness is something we are closely watching. I'll also say, you know, as I mentioned, you know, the digital world changing is something we're keeping a close pulse on. I don't think there's anything specifically that we're saying it doesn't have a bright future. I think the only other kind of theme is the economy as well, and the global economy, and how value plays in with the global consumer, and when do we see the economic effects of COVID really start to impact. And I think there's a lot of discussion about that and press. So we're just keeping close to that. How does that affect the economy and different regions of the world? All of these things, you know, are kind of the watch outs, and we must track that. And as Gil said, don't make any foregone conclusions. Make sure we're in touch with what are the latest insights and KPIs so we know what's happening, have a pulse. Yeah,
perfect. Thanks for answering that as well. There are one or two more outstanding questions, but unfortunately, I think we have to close this one because we are running out of time. Thank you very much again, Courtney, Gil, and of course, Kai as well for joining. Very interesting topic, very interesting insights. And to the audience, I can just say thank you for the questions. And of course, we would love to see you again in 45 minutes when we talk about hashtag healthcare and nutrition at the WeFood Future.